very warm good afternoon to all. As a coordinator, I, Dr. Swati Srivastav, extend a warm and heartily welcome to all in the 7 days faculty development program on writing research projects and research paper being organized by Pragati College in collaboration with Indian Teacher Education Community from 1st March 2021 to 7th March 2021. Pragati College offers various UG and PG courses affiliated to Pandit Ravi Shankar Shukla University and Kushabhau Thakre University of Mass Communication. We are privileged to have amongst us as a chief guest Professor Kesrilal Verma sir, Vice Chancellor Pandit Ravi Shankar Shukla University, Raipur. A very warm welcome to you, sir. We are delighted with the presence of an eminent personality amongst us as a resource person. I extend a warm welcome to Dr. D.N. Sansanwal, sir, former HOD and Dean, School of Education, Devi Ahilyabai Vishwavidyalaya, Indore. I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. I heartily welcome co-convener Dr. Pramod Kumar Gupta, sir, visiting professor RIE NCERT Bhubaneswar. I wholeheartedly welcome Chief Patron Shri Rajiv Vora, sir, Secretary Pragati College, Raipur. I extend a warm welcome to Dr. Shruti Jha, ma'am, Advisor Pragati College, Raipur. I heartily welcome Patron Professor Soumya Nair, ma'am, Dean, Faculty of Education and Principal Pragati College, Raipur. I welcome convener Dr. K.N. Gachpal, sir, Head Department of Education, Pragati College, Raipur. I welcome all faculty and dear participants. Now I would like to request Professor Soumya Nair, ma'am, for welcome address.
Namaskar, good evening. Very warm greetings to all of us. Honorable Chief Guest Professor Kesri Lal Verma ji, Vice Chancellor Pandit Ravi Shankar Shukla University, Raipur, Chhattisgarh. Respected Chief Patron Shri Rajiv Vora ji, Secretary of the College. Respected Advisor Madam Dr. Shruti Jha, distinguished resource person, respected Professor D.N. Sansanwal, Dr. Pramod Kumar Gupta ji. Diligent participants, convener Dr. K.N. Gachpal, organizing secretary Dr. Swati Srivastav, and lovely students. It is occasion to great pride and pleasure to us to have all of you amongst us. On the behalf of Pragati College as well as on personal half, I very warmly welcome all of you in the faculty development program. This program is being done with the collaboration of Indian Teacher Education Community and Pragati College. I am sure that it would be a memorable program for our institute. Very important and burning topic of the faculty development program, writing research papers and research projects. This program will definitely be beneficial for the teachers as well as students. I also hope that next 1 week will be lively and fruitful. I call upon the teachers and students to listen the prominent authorities with keen interest. Meaningful results will come out. I thank the guests for taking all the troubles to grace the program by their blessings. With a sense of gratitude, I thank all of you from core of my heart. Thank you so much. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, Nair, ma'am. Due to some unavoidable reason, our advisor, Pragati College, Dr. Shruti Jha, ma'am, couldn't join us, but she has sent her message, which I would like to share with all of you. There is a message from our advisor, Dr. Shruti Jha, ma'am.
Good afternoon, all of you. Honorable Chief Guest, Professor K.L. Verma, Vice Chancellor, Pandit Ravi Shankar Shukla University, Chief Patron, Shri Rajiv Vora, Secretary, Pragati College, Resource Persons, Dr. S.N. Sanswal, former HOD and Dean, DAVV, Indore, and Dr. Pramod Kumar Gupta, Assistant Professor, RIE, NCERT Bhubaneswar, and my dear colleagues. I have been asked to speak to one of the aptitudes of teaching, and given my correct position as advisor Pragati College, and I thought it appropriate to talk about academic citizenship, shared governance and leadership, the three talent listed programs. I say to all faculty here today, your participation as academic citizens, your discipline expertise, your creativity, your knowledge, perception, and experience as educators is greatly needed to enrich both strategy and curriculum in the college of our state and all over the country, so that the students who come from far flung area colleges will experience a world class education no matter the certificate program or degree they choose to pursue. All faculty play a key and obligatory role to ensure students have just such an educational experience. Through our committee work, we all are here the go-to team for curriculum and program development, special initiatives, hiring peer review, tenure, and academic policy and standards. Now, more than ever, our college needs commitment to the time honored tradition of academic committee work. But for the meaningful academic citizenship to occur, shared governance is a must. I say to all faculty and administrators alike, as well as all returning to our college campuses after a long due of to COVID pandemic situation, this academic year, let us do so with a renewed commitment to the parentship between to the partnership between faculty and administration necessary to fulfill the missions of our respective college. When the leadership of administration willingly and in good faith partners with the creativity, expertise, and institutional knowledge of faculty, we empower our college and students' educational experience. I am honored to be the part of this faculty development program on writing research papers and research projects, and hope we will be enriched by the advice and views which experts will provide us. Thank you.
This was a message from advisor Dr. Shruti Jha ma'am, a very motivating, inspiring message. Thank you, ma'am, for such a motivational message. Now, I would like to request our chief patron, Shri Rajiv Vora sir, but anyhow, he's not with us due to some unavoidable reason. So I would like to request Dr. Pramod Kumar Gupta sir for sharing his message. Shri Rajiv Vora sir has sent a message, which
Yes,
I would
ma'am.
like you to share. This is a message from Shri Rajiv Vora sir. He has written, Pragati College Raipur is organizing a 7 days faculty development program on writing research project, research paper, research ethics, and plagiarism. This topic is currently very relevant in view of not only the country, but to the whole world. We are living in a tumultuous time where change is constant and technology is pervasive in the throughout society. Modern research innovations, web-based technologies, and their current uses in education sector has extended learning experiences. It is expected that the new ideas and concepts emerging from this program will prove to be successful to fulfill the objective of the event. So this was the message from our secretary, Shri Rajiv Vora sir, Pragati College, Raipur, Chhattisgarh. Thank you, Pramod Kumar Gupta sir, for sharing message. Now, I would like to invite our honorable chief guest, Professor.
आपकी आवाज बीच में नहीं आ रही थी। ठीक है, मैं
Please repeat again, ma'am. Again,
Please,
invite.
yeah, bilkul. Bilkul. I would like to invite our honorable chief guest, Professor Kesrilal Verma sir, for his blessing words. Professor Kesrilal Verma sir, Vice Chancellor, Pandit Ravi Shankar Shukla University, Raipur, Chhattisgarh.
नमस्कार साथियों, मेरी आवाज ठीक आ रही है?
जी सर.
Yes, sir.
Indian teacher education community और प्रगति कॉलेज के द्वारा आयोजित इस 7 दिवसीय फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम, जिसका विषय बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है, राइटिंग रिसर्च पेपर्स एंड रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट्स, जो कि 1 मार्च से लेकर 7 मार्च तक चलेगा। इस कार्यक्रम के हमारे विषय विशेषज्ञ आदरणीय डॉक्टर D.N. संसनवाल जी, डॉक्टर प्रमोद कुमार गुप्ता जी, इस महाविद्यालय के चीफ पैट्रन श्री राजीव वोरा, पैट्रन प्रोफेसर सौम्या नैयर, कन्वीनर डॉक्टर K.N. गजपाल, एडवाइजर डॉक्टर श्रुति झा, कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर स्वाति श्रीवास्तव, और इस कार्यक्रम से जुड़े हुए सभी शिक्षक साथियों एवं प्रिय शोधार्थियों, इस बात की बड़ी प्रसन्नता हो रही है कि हमारा एक महाविद्यालय, प्रगति महाविद्यालय, राइटिंग रिसर्च पेपर्स एंड रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट्स पर यह कार्यक्रम करवा रहा है। इसकी महत्ता दिन प्रतिदिन बढ़ती जा रही है। शोध कार्य करने के बारे में, रिसर्च मेथोडोलॉजी पर हम लगातार चर्चा करते रहते हैं, और हमारे विश्वविद्यालय के HRDC के माध्यम से आज एक कार्यक्रम भी प्रारंभ हुआ, जिसमें देश भर के रिसर्च स्कॉलर्स जुड़े हुए हैं। जम्मू कश्मीर से, असम से, साउथ से, बंगाल से, सब क्षेत्र से। बड़ा अच्छा लगा था। और आज हमारा एक प्रमुख महाविद्यालय शोध पत्र लेखन पर, प्रोजेक्ट लेखन पर कार्य कर, ये हमारे अवेयरनेस का प्रतीक है। शोध की महत्ता प्रतिदिन बढ़ती जा रही है। अब जो ग्रेडेशन हो रहा है, हायरार्की तय की जा रही है, और केंद्र सरकार द्वारा जो अपेक्षाएं की जा रही है, उसमें ऐसी शिक्षण संस्थाएं जो रिसर्च को महत्व देंगी, उसको प्रायोरिटी से करवाने के लिए तत्पर रहेंगी, और साथ में क्वालिटी एजुकेशन हो, उसको पहले स्थान पर रखा जाएगा। जहाँ दूसरे स्थान पर ऐसे महाविद्यालय या विश्वविद्यालय जो कि क्वालिटी एजुकेशन पर ध्यान देंगे और साथ में रिसर्च भी करवाएंगे। तीसरी स्थिति यह होगी कि महाविद्यालय जो स्नातक की पढ़ाई गुणवत्तापूर्ण ढंग से करेंगे। तो शोध कार्य करना और उसको प्रकाशित करना उससे भी महत्वपूर्ण, क्योंकि जो कुछ ज्ञान में विस्तार होता है, जो ज्ञान में शुद्धिकरण होता है, शोध शब्द ही से, जो नया इंटरप्रिटेशन होता है, नई खोज होती है, नए विचार स्थापित होते हैं, उसको जनता तक पहुंचाना, उसको शोधार्थियों तक पहुंचाना, विशेषज्ञों तक पहुंचाना महत्वपूर्ण होता है। उसके लिए ही हम शोध पत्रिकाओं को शोध पत्र भेजते हैं। वैसे ही रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट्स तैयार करते हैं। लेकिन कई बार ये देखा गया है कि जो साइंटिफिक तरीका है शोध पत्र लिखने का, उसको हमारे शोधार्थी अपनाते नहीं, हमारे शिक्षक अपनाते नहीं। अच्छी शोध पत्रिकाएं हैं, पीयर रिव्यूड जर्नल्स हैं, ऐसी पत्रिकाएं, शोध पत्रिकाएं जिसको केयर में स्थान दिया गया, केयर के माध्यम से, उसमें रिसर्च पेपर रिजेक्ट हो जाते हैं या जो अपेक्षित क्वालिटी वो नहीं आ पाती। यही हाल रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट्स के। इसको तैयार करना एक कला है, एक टेक्निक है। प्रस्तुतिकरण करना, तथ्यों को सिलसिलेवार रखना, और जो मुख्य बात है, जो निष्कर्ष है, जो कुछ कर रहे हैं उसको रखना होता ही है। साथ में बिब्लियोग्राफी का भी बड़ा महत्व है, और मैं कई बार इस बात को कहता रहता हूँ आरडीसी में कि आपका बिब्लियोग्राफी जो है वह साइंटिफिक वे से लिखा नहीं गया, किसी एक को फॉलो कीजिए, उसके आधार पर बनाइए, यही आपकी प्रैक्टिस होगी। और आगे जाके जब रिसर्च पेपर लिखेंगे, जब उस जर्नल्स में कोई स्टाइल शीट दी जाएगी, उसके अनुकूल अगर रिसर्च पेपर लिखेंगे तभी वह स्वीकार करें। कई बार वो देखते ही नहीं कि उसकी स्टाइल शीट क्या है, उस जर्नल की भेज दिया जाता है। उनको लगता है कि हमारी स्टाइल शीट में नहीं है, बिल्कुल रिजेक्ट हो जाता है तुरंत। अच्छे जो फैक्टर हैं, ऐसे जर्नल्स और ज्यादा अपेक्षाएं करते हैं। हम चाहते हैं कि शोध पत्र छपे, ज्ञान जो में जो विस्तार हुआ है वो लोगों तक पहुंचे। हमारे विश्वविद्यालय द्वारा भी 2 जर्नल्स निकाले जाते हैं, साइंस के लिए अलग और ह्यूमैनिटीज के लिए अलग। ऐसे ही शोध पत्रिकाएं देश में बहुत अच्छी निकल रही हैं। लगातार एजेंसियां अपेक्षा करती हैं कि उनके पास अच्छे रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट्स आएं, लेकिन उसको तैयार करने की कला जब नहीं आती तो स्वाभाविक है कि उसमें वो क्वालिटी नहीं बन पाती। हमारे आज विषय विशेषज्ञ इस बात को आगे बताते रहेंगे, पूरे 1 सप्ताह बताएंगे, उनको जानकारी देंगे कि कैसे हम रिसर्च पेपर लिखें, कैसे एक रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट को तैयार करें। और ऐसा होना, शोध को जन जन तक पहुंचाने के लिए जो कुछ आपने किया है उसको दूसरों तक पहुंचाने के लिए बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। इस बात को भी मैं कहता हूं, किसी एक रिसर्च पेपर पर कोई रिसर्च स्कॉलर पूरी दुनिया में छा सकता है। कई बार ऐसा हुआ है कि किसी के 1-2 ही रिसर्च पेपर छपे हैं, लेकिन उसका उल्लेख पूरी दुनिया में किया जाता है, कोट किया जाता है, रिफर किया जाता है। और अगर ऐसा होता है तो स्वाभाविक है कि उनकी एक पर्सनालिटी बन जाती है, उसको एक विशेषज्ञ मान लेते हैं, और उसमें लोग उनसे अपेक्षा करते हैं कि उनसे जुड़े, उनसे मार्गदर्शन लें, उनसे करें। अभी बहुत कम समय में मुझे अपनी बात रखनी है, क्योंकि एक बात मैं और कहना चाहता हूँ कि कई ऐसी पुस्तकें भी प्रकाशित हो गई है। अभी आप देखिए, जोसेफ गिवाल्डी जो एमएलए हैंडबुक फॉर राइटर ऑफ रिसर्च पेपर लिख रहे हैं, बहुत सुगमता से उपलब्ध है वो पुस्तक, उसमें हर चीज लिखी हुई है, बहुत बढ़िया पुस्तक है। लेकिन कई बार इन बच्चों को मैं पूछता हूं तो बता नहीं पाते, हमारे शिक्षक नहीं बता पाते। कई बार ऐसे सिनाप्सिस मेरे सामने आते हैं आरडीसी में, जब पता चलता है कि उसमें उसका प्रस्तुतिकरण ठीक नहीं, उसमें रेफरेंस ठीक नहीं है। मैं हर बार टोकता रहता हूँ और शिक्षकों से कहता हूं कि आप गाइड कर रहे हैं विद्यार्थियों को, पहले आप जान लीजिए, समझ लीजिए, और अगर आप ऐसा करेंगे तो सभी छात्रों का हित होगा। आप पहली बार में अच्छी तरह देख लीजिए। अभी एजुकेशन के भी पिछले दिनों में कमेंट, फिलॉसफी का हो, मैंने कमेंट किया, मैं बता सकता। शुरू से अगर उनको ये पद्धति मालूम होगी कि हमें कैसे तैयार करना है अपने शोध प्रबंध को, जो कि रिसर्च पेपर का बड़ा रूप है, समझिए सबसे बड़ा रूप, तो स्वाभाविक है कि उनको अभ्यास हो जाएगा, वो प्रैक्टिस कर लेंगे। वैसे ही वो बनाने के लिए दक्ष हो जाएंगे, यही हम चाहते हैं। मैं अभी जिस बात की चर्चा कर रहा था वो तो मैं मानता हूं कि उस पुस्तक को हर किसी के पास होनी चाहिए। जैसे हम कुछ अपेक्षा करते हैं विद्यार्थियों को डिक्शनरी होनी चाहिए, ऐसी पुस्तकें होनी। एक रिसर्च स्कॉलर के लिए जोसेफ गिवाल्डी की जो पुस्तक है MLA हैंडबुक फॉर राइटर्स ऑफ रिसर्च पेपर्स, बहुत बढ़िया, 6th एडिशन, अगला एडिशन लगातार इंडिया में अवेलेबल है, हमारे लाइब्रेरी में अवेलेबल है। हम सबसे कहते हैं कि उसको देखें, हमारे विशेषज्ञ भी बताएंगे, लेकिन बाद में अगर कभी आपको जरूरत पड़े कि बिब्लियोग्राफी कैसे तैयार करें, उसमें हर कुछ है, सिलेक्शन ऑफ टॉपिक से लेकर प्रेजेंटेशन हर चीज है। ऐसी कई पुस्तकें हैं जिसका उल्लेख अभी मैं कर रहा हूं, उसके अलावा भी है। विद्यार्थी हमारे शिक्षक नहीं देखते, ये कई बार बड़ा आभास लगता है कि आप शोध के लिए प्रवृत्त हैं, लेकिन शोध से संबंधित जो विशिष्ट गाइडलाइन हो सकते हैं, जो आपके लिए उपयोगी हो सकते हैं, उसको आप बहुत अच्छे रिसर्चर्स भी हैं, हमारे शिक्षक बहुत अच्छे हैं जिनके शोध पत्र देश विदेश में छप रहे हैं। हमारे तो कई ऐसे विद्यार्थी जो अभी ग्रेजुएशन कंप्लीट नहीं किया, PG तक नहीं पहुंच पाए हैं, जो CBS के विद्यार्थी अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर अच्छे शोध पत्रिकाओं में उनके लेख छपे और बड़ी प्रतिष्ठा मिली उनको, इसका उल्लेख हम करते हैं, देखिए विद्यार्थी। लेकिन उन्होंने उस सिस्टम को पकड़ा और ऐसे रिसर्च पेपर तैयार किए कि अभी PG नहीं हुआ है और वो छा गए बीच उस विषय के विशेषज्ञ कहलाने। तो मुझे इस बात की खुशी है कि जागरूकता है, यही आपकी जागरूकता है कि आप चाहते हैं ऐसे कार्यक्रम हो। हमारे शिक्षक जुड़ रहे हैं इसमें कि वो इस चीज को जाने समझे। हमारे विद्वान रिसोर्स पर्सन अभी गाइड करेंगे, उन बताएंगे लेखन के बारे में, उनके विचार आप सुनिए कि कैसे शोध क्या है, कैसे रिसर्च पेपर लिखते हैं, कैसे प्रोजेक्ट तैयार करते हैं, प्लेजरिज्म क्या है, कितने % तक हम अलाउ कर सकते हैं प्लेजरिज्म को। हमारे यहाँ जब भी थीसिस जमा होती है सबसे पहले कहते हैं कि आप जाके लाइब्रेरियन से उसके सर्टिफिकेट प्राप्त कीजिए कि प्लेजरिज्म कितने % है। हम 10% रखें, उसको हम और कम करके 5%। आप किसी का उल्लेख करते हैं, किसी की विचारों को लेते हैं, उसका अगर आप प्रॉपर ढंग से कोट नहीं करते, रेफरेंस नहीं देते, उसका उल्लेख नहीं करते, यह आपकी जो नैतिक जिम्मेदारी है उससे आप बच रहे हैं, आप छुपा रहे हैं, वो चोरी है एक प्रकार से, वो साहित्यिक चोरी कहलाती है। उससे कैसे बचें? आप दूसरे के ज्ञान को लेते हैं, रिसर्च का मतलब ही होता है कि दूसरे के ज्ञान को लेना, सबको परखना, उसके बाद कुछ हम वृद्धि कर सकते हैं, उसमें हम कुछ नया इंटरप्रिटेशन कर सकते हैं उसके लिए। इसलिए अगर हमारे शिक्षक इन बातों को जानते हैं तो स्वाभाविक है कि वो अच्छे रिसर्च पेपर लिखेंगे, और अगर वो गाइड हैं तो अपने विद्यार्थियों के बताएंगे, और ऐसे ही एक जो रिसर्च पेपर प्रोजेक्ट लिखने की टेक्निक है वह विद्यार्थियों तक पहुंच होगी, सब तक पहुंच होगी, ऐसा हम मानते हैं। और ऐसे आयोजन के लिए मैं इस महाविद्यालय की पूरी टीम को बधाई देता हूँ, शुभकामनाएं व्यक्त करता हूँ कि जो आपने एक अच्छा कार्यक्रम करवा के सबको इस प्रकार से एजुकेट करने के लिए जो उपक्रम किया है उसमें आपको सफलता मिले। मैं सभी रिसोर्स पर्सन्स को भी धन्यवाद देता हूँ विश्वविद्यालय की ओर से, विशेष रूप से, क्योंकि हम भी यही चाहते हैं और हमारा ये महाविद्यालय कर रहा है, उसमें आपके विशेषज्ञता का हम लाभ ले रहे हैं। स्वाभाविक है कि हमारे विद्यार्थी, हमारे विश्वविद्यालय के विद्यार्थी और हमारे छत्तीसगढ़ के विद्यार्थी उससे लाभान्वित, तो पूरे देश के लोग उससे लाभान्वित होंगे। उनके प्रति विशेष करके डॉक्टर DN संसनवाल और डॉक्टर के प्रति मैं धन्यवाद व्यक्त करता हूँ। डॉक्टर प्रमोद कुमार गुप्ता जी के प्रति भी आभार, धन्यवाद। और पुनः आप सबको बहुत बहुत बधाई और शुभकामनाएं। फिर कभी और चर्चा होगी इस पर। मैं अभी समय को ध्यान में रखते हुए मैं बात नहीं विराम देना चाहता हूँ। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद। नमस्कार सर।
जय हिंद सर, जय छत्तीसगढ़। धन्यवाद आपके प्रेरणादायक एवं अभिप्रेरक आशीष वचनों के लिए। निश्चित ही विद्यार्थी और सभी सहभागी एक अच्छे रिसर्च पेपर की महत्ता, एक अच्छे रिसर्च प्रोजेक्ट की महत्ता, प्लेजरिज्म का क्या महत्व है, इसको समझेंगे एवं लाभान्वित होंगे। Now I would like to invite our Honorable Resource Person, Dr. D.N. Sansanwal Sir, former HOD and Dean, School of Education, Devi Ahilyabai Vishwavidyalaya, Indore, for enriching our knowledge on writing research paper, research project. Today is the first day of a 7-day faculty development program, and today's session is on basic research. So I would like to request Dr. D.N. Sansanwal Sir for enriching our knowledge.
Okay.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, madam. Thank you. Dear friends, welcome to the first day of the 7 days program on paper and project writing. My dear friends, it's very important that if we do not know basics, then rest assured you cannot do research, you cannot write papers, you cannot think of writing proposals to get grant from different organizations. It's not possible at all. And it has been observed and even said at different platforms by different people that in India, as far as the research is concerned, it's quality. There is no quality. You can talk of a quality only if there is something. And I need not to talk about it. So therefore, let me now to start with the basics. I'm sure my participants, they must be knowing some of the basic things, but I like to reiterate some of the very important aspects. And let us begin with what exactly is a research. So I'll start with this one. What exactly is the research? And when I talk about what is the research, then I'm sure all of you must be knowing the word research. And this word research, if you see, it comprises the two words. One is read, other is search. That means you search again. Now the question arises, why should we search, or what do we search? Right at the moment, you know, the whole world is facing a very, very severe problem, and that is COVID-19. And you know, when this problem was not there before March 2020, the scientists from different countries, they never thought of finding some remedy for the COVID-19, because the COVID-19 was not there at all. So that means if you really want to do a research, then you have to have a problem. And without problem, you cannot proceed further. Now, when the COVID-19 came, and when people started fearing, people started feeling the impact. I use the word impact, I'm not using the word effect, because it was all over the globe. And whenever something has all over the globe, then we use the word impact. Effect will be of on a very smaller portion. So that is what. So people started feeling the impact of the COVID-19, and then they started thinking and started working. So they started finding the solution. Now, when you have a problem, there has to be a solution. Now, I just like to ask, and those people who are interested in answering, they can write their answer in the chat box and I will see it from time to time. Now, if you have a problem and you conduct a research, in one research, when you are taking one problem, do you come across only one solution or do you come across multiple solutions in just one research? This is the question. I'm giving it to the participants. If they can come up with the answer, then I will be too happy to have that. I repeat, if you have a problem and you start conducting the research, so at the end, do you come across the one solution of the problem or do you come across many solutions? I have got 2 answers, 3 answers. My dear friend, think once again. In one research, when you take one problem and when you start working on it, you cannot come up with multiple solutions. You have one problem and you are concentrating on it and you are proceeding, so you come across only one solution. This is important. So if you, and why you come across one solution, just now I will tell you. So when you take one problem and when you go through all the steps of the research, at the end you come across only one solution. If you take the same problem again and do the research, you may come across either the same solution or you may come across a different solution. So when you have a problem and you want to reach to the solution, you have to do some activities. You do not do activity, you have to do many activities. And whenever these activities have to be done, these activities must be done in a particular sequence. And when you are doing any activity in a particular sequence, then that is what is called systematic or scientific. So when you have a problem and you want to reach to the solution, you have to do many activities in a particular sequence. And whenever you are doing many activities in a particular sequence, then that is called a process. See, when you brush your teeth in the morning, the brushing teeth is a process. And you know what all you do in that particular process and in what sequence. When someone prepares chapati, preparing chapati is a process. You know what all one has to do to prepare chapati and in what sequence. So that is what is a process. So these are the 5 important words, and not even single word you can take it out from the definition of the research. So all these words, each word is the characteristics of a research. So let me define the research using these 5 words. So I define research refers to a process wherein activities are carried out. You can use the word systematic or you may use the word scientific. Most of the people from the science subject, they prefer to use the word scientific, but some people from social science or humanities, they like to use the word systematic, but both will mean the same. So carried out scientifically to find solution of the problem. Now here in this one, you see all 5 words are here. This is your one word process. Here is the word activities. And here is scientifically. And next is solution. And next is problem. Now, in this definition, you should just appreciate and understand one important thing. I have written the problem, but I have not written the solution, because the problem may remain the same and solution may be different. You see, when someone is having a fever, you know, there are so many medicines available, because some medicine will suit to someone and some medicine will suit to someone else. So that is why you may have the same problem, but the solutions may be different. And that is why, dear friends, many times the many researchers have the same problem, but they arrive at different solutions. But some of them might arrive at the same solution. They might get the same solution. So therefore, at a time, more people can work on a problem. It is possible. Okay. Now, this is the general definition of research. And if I have to change this particular definition to fit into different subjects, and all these 5 words, because they are essential, they must appear in the definition. When we define noun, the most important characteristics is the name. Name is noun. That's all. It may be name of a person, it may be name of a place, or name of a thing, or it may be small name, it may be large. It does not make a difference. So that's what exactly is the meaning of the research. Now, if I say research in chemistry, refers to a process wherein activities are carried out scientifically to find solution of the problem related to some aspect of chemistry. See, this is important, because if you want to do a research in chemistry, then the problem also has to be related to the chemistry. Any aspect of chemistry. There is a physical chemistry, there is organic chemistry, there is inorganic chemistry, etc., etc. Absolutely no problem. Now, if you want to define someone is asking question related to SPSS. My dear friend, at present, I am not giving a talk on SPSS, so I will let you know later on. Okay, if you want research in Hindi, if you want research in Hindi, Then research in Hindi refers to a process wherein activities are carried out scientifically to find solution of the problem related to some aspect of Hindi. Now let me give one more definition and then I will switch over to another point. If I say research in education, refers to a process wherein activities are carried out scientifically to find solution of the problem related to some aspect of education. So this is how one general definition, and then you can change that general definition so as to fit into your own subject to which you belong and where you want to do the research. If you want to do research in electronics, then research in electronics refers to a process wherein activities are carried out scientifically to find solution of the problem related to some aspect of electronics. So whatever is the subject, the problem has to be related to that. I hope you have understood it. So I have given you the general definition. I have given you a definition which belongs to a particular subject. So from general definition, you can come to the particular definition. Absolutely no problem. Now I go to the next point, is that what are the characteristics of the research? Now, before I move on to the characteristics of the research, let me just ask you one. Okay, let me give the characteristics. I think that's much better. I should give the characteristics. And I will be using these 5 words which I have already introduced you to. So the characteristics of research. Now, the one characteristics of research is research refers or research involves problem. Research involves problem. Research is done by doing activities. Third, research is systematic or scientific in nature. Then fourth is research refers to a process. And then another is research leads to solution. Now, if you have the 5 words, so each word, if you put in a sentence, then that will become the characteristics of the research. So these are the 5 characteristics of the research. Now, I just like to ask you another question, that you say in research, the activities must be carried out systematically or scientifically. So how will you know whether activities which you are carrying out, whether you are doing it systematically or scientifically or not? So when can researchers say that the activities are being done systematically? What are the indicators? How will you know that activities are being done systematically? So anyone like to answer this particular question? I will be too happy to have that answer. No, my dear friend, Rajiv model, no, it's not like that. Normally, in social sciences, people hesitate to use the word scientific, but you can very well use the word scientific. There is nothing wrong in that. It is not that when you do a qualitative research, then you use scientific. No. Whether you do qualitative or you do quantitative, it does not make a difference. Okay. I don't understand what is someone is writing, reading research article. I don't know what are they writing. Anyway, so therefore, these are the 5 characteristics. Now I'm asking you, how one recognizes that the activities are being done systematically. Or scientifically. Any one of you can answer. Now, what is the meaning of step by step? Why should we follow the step? Why should we go from one step to another step? If we do not follow the step, what will happen? Let me give you a small hint. If you can catch that hint and give me the answer. That if you want to prepare chapati and you know the different steps which you follow, if you miss one step or if you change the sequence, what will happen? Will you get the chapati or will you not get this chapati? No, what all answers you are writing, they are not correct one. Think about it. I'm not going to give you the answer so fast. You can think, and by tomorrow, you can give me the answer. Don't be in a hurry to give me the answer right now. No, no Jyoti. No Dubey. No. Think once again. Yes, why should we have that sequence? Ali. No, there is, let me tell you, my dear friend, in research, whatever the solution you are getting, you cannot say this solution is correct. You cannot use the word correct in research with respect to the solution. The formula may be correct or incorrect, but not the solution. Think about it, why solution cannot be called to be correct. So think about it and then we go ahead. Okay. Now the another important is you have heard about the different words. One word is called discovery. And another word is called invention. Can any one of you tell me the difference between discovery and invention? What is the difference between discovery and invention? Just think about it. And if any one of you like to answer, you can answer, no problem at all. My dear Sandeep, discovery is not research. No, Manoj Kumar, think once again. Anyway, you keep on thinking, I am proceeding further. And these are important questions which I am asking you. Somebody can ask you when you appear for some post in some of the institute. And if there is a person who really understands the research, he may ask simple question like this. Yes, Mukherjee, your one answer is correct. But what can be the other difference? Mukherjee, your answer is correct, but it is not the complete answer. Yes, but it's not complete. Keep on thinking and keep on giving the answer, no problem. Now, let us go to the next one. And next one, now I am going to take you. I have not given you the difference between discovery and invention. Some of the people, they are writing that whatever exists on this particular planet, they can be discovered. So you can do the discovery of those things which exist on this planet. And invention is by getting something new. So by doing something, you get some new solution. So therefore, and you are the first one to get it, then you can get the patent of that also, and then you call it an invention. That's fine. But what might be the other differences between both? It's not all. Still, there are many differences. So you may think once again, what might be the other difference between the discovery and the invention? Now, I take you to another one, is the types of research. And let me insert a table and where I will just like to give you so that you start understanding it. Say, I will give you here the one is the serial number, then I will give you the type of research, and then I will give you the base. That if this is the base, then these will be the types. If you change the base, the type will change automatically. Now, you must have heard about yes, the answer, one answer that you people are writing, that is all right, that is correct, no problem at all. But there are others. So you have to think of the other answers. Now you know that whenever there is an exam and there is a question and you write the answer, and you write answer using the words. You may write in Hindi or you may write in English. If someone asks you what problems you faced during lockdown, so you will narrate the problems. Now, when you are narrating the problem, then you are giving me the information. And this information is called qualitative information. So the answer of the question is qualitative in nature. And the examiner will read the answer and then he will give the marks. He may give 7 marks out of 10. So the examiner has converted your qualitative information into quantitative. So the information which you have, basically they are of two types. One is called a qualitative information, and research based on qualitative information is called qualitative research. And then another is you have the quantitative. Quantitative research. Say in Hindi, in English, in say history, in sociology, in economics, in management, in education, in psychology, etc., etc., even chemistry, physics, etc., etc. Some of the people, they do the qualitative research and some people, they do the quantitative research. These are the two basics types of the research, or these are the two basics, you can say the type in which the researches can be classified. There is no third type. And these days, the people are talking about mixed research. My dear friend, that is a misnomer. You cannot mix. When you are saying the mixed, that means you are mixing two things. If you see the tea is the mixture of sugar, milk, water, and tea leaves. That is why it is called a mixture. So you cannot mix the qualitative research, qualitative information, and quantitative information. No question. No one ever has done it and no one can do it. So what is now on the move is that mixed research. It is really trying to bring down the quality of the research, because they have started talking about mixed research. Not only that, even I wonder what the UGC is doing. The UGC is training the teachers through these HRDC, Human Resource Development Program is there, what the Vice Chancellor of the Ravi Shankar University was mentioning. Now there in that syllabus, they have said mixed research. I wonder who are those intelligent people who are writing about the mixed research. So my dear friend, please, I will demonstrate, I will show you that you cannot have. Yes, it is possible that as I will proceed further, I will tell you it is possible you may have two variables. And for one variable, you may have a qualitative information, and another variable, you may have a quantitative information. This is possible in one research, but you cannot mix. When you are analyzing your data, you have to analyze qualitative data separately and quantitative data separately. You cannot mix them and analyze. It's not possible. So therefore, if these are the two types, then the base is type of information, or you can say type of data. The data will be of two types. One is the qualitative data and another is a quantitative data. You do not have any third type of data. Okay, this is so if your base is type of information, then you will say that the research will of two types. One is the qualitative research, other is a quantitative research. Now you can classify researches by using another criteria also, and therefore if I do that, then I say something like this. If you want to study the vision of any person or vision of any family or vision of any political party, then you will be doing a philosophical research. For example, you see, whenever there are elections, the different political parties, they come up with their own manifesto. And the manifesto indicates, reflects what, if they come to the power, then this is what they are going to do for the general public. And these are written in the manifesto. And when the political party wins the election, then they try to implement their manifesto. They said, we said like this, and now we are doing it. So that's what is the meaning. See, Mahatma Gandhi, Rabindranath Tagore, Vivekananda, all these are great people. They had their own vision. They had their own ideas. They have their own thoughts. And when I say they have their own, these are the original thing. Now, what Mahatma Gandhi thought, the Rabindranath Tagore did not think. Okay, so because thinking is very different. So if you are interested in studying the vision of any person, then you will be doing a research and which will be called a philosophical research. For example, if you want to do that, how in fact what subject should be taught into the school. If you want to see a study of educational ideas of Mahatma, then that means you are only studying the ideas of education of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi had ideas about other aspects also. What type of industry should be there, etc., etc. But we are not concerned. We are concerned only with educational ideas. And only of the Mahatma Gandhi, not of Rabindranath Tagore, not of Vivekananda. No, absolutely no. It's only Mahatma Gandhi. So that is what is called a philosophical research. Now, if you want to study whatever event has passed, and that we call it past. Any event related to the past is called history. So it's called historical research. If you want to find out that during British period, what was the system of banking system during British period, then you will not be doing a philosophical research, but you will be doing an historical research. And dear friends, it is wrong to say that historical researches are useless or philosophical researches are useless. No, no research is useless. It is our potentiality or it is our incapability that we are not able to recognize and understand their research and use. But research is research and it is very important. So you cannot say that this research is at the top and this is at the bottom. No, absolutely no. Now, if you want to study any event in the present context, then this is called survey research. And this survey research, which people, they have to carry it out, you know, they belong to the different one. One, if you are interested in trying to do the exploration, and you know present means in the present context, you know the geology people, the type of a research which they do, it is a survey research, but it is exploratory survey. Exploratory survey. You know, many of the business people, they carry out the exploratory survey. Because if they have to establish a factory in some of the state, then they carry out survey to find out where will they get land, where will they get electricity, what is the transportation, the raw material, the manpower, etc., etc. So that's what is the meaning of the exploratory study. And then the second is called descriptive. Descriptive survey. Say if someone visits Delhi for the first time And when the person goes back to the place, then the people may ask about the Delhi. What did you see in Delhi? So the person, if he has visited some of the places, then he will be describing. So that is what is the meaning of the descriptive survey. And the descriptive survey will be of many types. One is called ethnography. That if there is a particular tribe, and if you are interested in understanding that tribe, then you have to do a research which will be ethnography research. And it's not easy to carry it out, and it is 100% descriptive. And when you are describing, you may use number also during description. Otherwise, majority of it will be the qualitative in nature. The another is narrative research. So you may do a narrative one. Another is phenomenology. The phenomenological research. Another is grounded. The name is a grounded theory, but it is pure a descriptive research, descriptive survey. Then the third type is called correlational survey. In which you want to find out the correlation between the two variables. That's a correlational survey. Now, there is another one that is something related to the future. And anything which you use in future is the outcome of the experimental research. You see, COVID-19, everybody was waiting for the vaccine to come up. And the scientists were working day and night in their laboratory, and they were trying it out. And once they got success and they had a result which was useful, then it has been put to use. And now you know all over the world, people are getting the shots. So the vaccine is the outcome of the experimental research. So once the experiment is conducted, is complete, then and only then its product can be used. You cannot use the product before it is out. So therefore, when you say any research which has its utility in future will be experimental research. Another is if you want to study something special. Suppose there is a student who has got 5 gold medals in the university. Now, and he is the one in many years. So when such a student is there, all other students did not get so many gold medals, but this student has got a gold medal. Now, this is something very special student. So you can do the case study of this particular student because it is very, very special. You know, there are many special, you know, this Amitabh Bachchan. Now, he is a very different type of, I don't want to use the word actor or something like that, a very different person. He fits in many of the roles. Someone may do a case study of Amitabh Bachchan, no problem, because he is very different from many other actors or people in the same profession. So special means the case study. Case study can be a method of teaching, because in management subject, some people they do case study, but I'm talking of case study research. And this case study cannot be done of a large number of the people. No, it cannot be done of any person. No, it has to be very, very, very special. Now, if you see this classification, your philosophical research is 100% qualitative in nature. Your historical research, majority qualitative, but some will be quantitative. Your survey research is both qualitative as well as quantitative. Your experimental research is more quantitative and less qualitative, and case study both. So therefore, the qualitative and quantitative and philosophical, they overlap. But when you say the base is type of information, then you cannot say philosophical research, historical research. No. Then the type of research you have to say is a qualitative research and quantitative research. But if you have to say philosophical research, historical research, etc., then this you can classify on the basis of steps followed. Because in the philosophical research, historical, survey, experimental, case study, some steps are common and some steps are not common. So therefore, the steps followed will become the criteria which you can use to classify them. Another can be, you can say methodology. So methodology which you are following can be used as a criteria to differentiate and to classify researches into this. There is another way to classify the researches, and that is, someone call it a basic research or called fundamental research or say theoretical research. Then another is called experimental research. Or it is also called applied research. And the third one is called action research. I'm sure you must be knowing the action research. Now, your theoretical research is pure qualitative in nature. Your experimental research is pure quantitative in nature. And action research is also quantitative in nature. If these are the three types of researches, then what can be the base which we can use to differentiate amongst these three types? Can any one of you come forward? ओमवीर जी नमस्कार, आप आ गए, धन्यवाद। आपका आंसर तो 100% सही है। थैंक यू ओमवीर। आ गया भैया, ओमवीर आ गया,
बिल्कुल सर।
आ धन्यवाद भैया। Rajiv Mondal, your word is all right, but it is not complete. You think once again. It is only Omveer Yadav who has given a correct answer. Omveer, what can be the other word for the utility? So think about this particular question, that if these are the three types of researches, Bharti, you have given only one word. This is not correct. Or I will say this is not complete. The word which you have written is all right, but it's not complete. So write the complete one. And Omveer, instead of utility, what can be the another word that you like to write? Yes, Jyoti, now this is all right. No, Manoj, no, this is not all right. Okay, so think about it and then we will proceed further. So therefore, these are the different types of the researches. Now, from these definitions, from the definition as well as from the types, no, Sandeep, it's not okay. Now, from the definition, you know that research refers to a process. Once it is a process, then there must be steps. Steps of research. Now, I will quickly give you the steps of research, but I will not definitely like to elaborate because then it will take more time. So I'm just giving you the steps. Can any one of you tell me what can be the first step of the research? What can be the first step of the research? Yes. No, Shrivastava. Oti, no. Priyanka, no, that's not correct. No, Jha, no, this is not correct. Harsha Dubey, it is incomplete. Priti Kaur, incomplete. Bhatti, it is not correct. No, many of you, no, it's not correct. Chaudhary, it's Neha Chaudhary, not correct. Sandeep, not correct. Okay, let me tell you. So that means I don't know. If you do not know the steps, then I don't know whether you can really write a paper which can be published in a journal having the highest impact factor, because your basics do not seem to be very strong. Nevertheless, I'll go ahead because I have to go as per the program schedule. Okay. And today I will take a little more time because half an hour was taken from my schedule. I was supposed to talk to you for 1.5 hours. So half an hour is taken away by the inauguration. So therefore, I will like to take some. I hope you will not mind. So the first step is identification of problem. My dear friend, there is another word, selection. Selection of problem is not the first step of the research. In some of the books, this is what is given. And some of our teachers are also teaching that. So it means neither the teacher knows the correct steps, and therefore the student will also be deficient in the knowledge. So selection is not the first step, it is the identification. Now you must know the difference between identification and the selection. I'm not going to tell you that because it's a part of the another program where I give everything in detail. So therefore, this selection of problem is not the first step. It is the identification of the problem. Now the problem means the variable. Another word for the problem is a variable. So in step number 1, as a researcher, what you have to do is that you have to select a variable. So you start with identification and then you land with the selection. So you must have the variable. In one research, minimum there must be one variable, but if you want, you can have more than one variable. But there cannot be a research without a variable. It's not possible at all. You cannot think of conducting a research without the variable. You have to have the variable and minimum one variable. Once you have selected the variable, you should be able to write the title. And when you are writing the title, you must know that can title be broad versus narrow versus specific. Can any one of you like to tell, should a title be broad, narrow, or specific? What do you think about it? Sagar, no, that's not correct. Sonali, no. No. Rajiv Mondal, no. Omveer, your answer is correct. Priyanka, no. No, all your answers are not correct. So I don't know what will happen, dear friends, because your basics are weak. So I don't know whether you will really understand what I will talk because of your basics. No, 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 no. All those people who are writing specific, it is not a correct one. It's not correct answer. Now, once you have written a title, I will write that title tomorrow and then I will explain you whether it should be broad or narrow or specific. So I will tell you, don't worry about it. Then another is when you read a title, many times you know that title, the wording of the title is appropriate. But many a times you think that the wording is not all right. So when the wording is not all right, that means title is not appropriate. But when it is all right because it gives you the meaning, then it means it is all right. So as a researcher, you must know what all information should be given in the title. That is very important. I will show you, or you go to the Shodh Ganga where the theses have been uploaded. And whatever the subject to which you belong, if you see the thesis there, my dear friend, you will realize that lot of titles are technically incorrect, and the degree has been awarded. And those people might have become guides. So now you can understand, when their own research quality was poor, then what happens to the research which they will guide, what will happen to the quality of that research? That's a very, very important point. So, Omveer, correct. So that's what you should know. Another thing you should know, can a title start with the word to? And the last is, can the title have a full stop? These are the different points which you must know under identification of problem. And if you do not know these things, my dear friend, then you cannot proceed further. Can any one of you tell me what can be the next step of the research? What can be another step of a research? Yes, Rajiv, your answer is correct. Sandeep, your answer is not correct. Ali, your answer is not correct. Jyoti, no, 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 no. Now, in the first step, there is one more, that once you have selected the variable and you have written the title, then you should be able to write objectives. And in one research, you may have as many objectives as you like, but minimum there must be one objective. It is not possible that you want to do a research without any objective. So you can write the heading objective and proceed. Some people do not want to write the heading objective, they write the heading research question. So in one research, either you write the heading objective or you write the heading research question. You cannot write in the same research the objective as well as research questions, because both will mean exactly the same. Only the difference will be in the wording. So when you want to write the objective or you want to write the research question, then your objective must be, should they be written in the broad, should they be broad, narrow, or pinpointed? This is what you must know it, that when you are writing the objective, should it be broad, narrow, or pinpointed? And once you are writing the objectives, you may write it in the sentence form or question form. you should not write in the both the sentence as well as question. No. Now, once you have this, then the second step is formulation of hypothesis. Let me quickly tell you what exactly is a hypothesis. Hypothesis is the tentative solution of the problem. This is the one. It is not the final solution. It is the tentative solution. This is important, my dear friend. Another definition can be hypothesis is the intelligent guess about the solution of the problem. Please see, it is not a guess, but it is an intelligent guess. And I'm sure you know what is an intelligent guess and what is a guess. And the third definition is a hypothesis is the conjectural statement. Conjectural statement about the relationship between variables. Now, these are the three definitions of hypothesis, and all the three definitions indicate that it is not final. It is just tentative. You know, many times when we go to the doctor examines, and after examining, the doctor may say that you are having this problem, but you go to pathology lab and get these tests done. Why the doctor wants those tests? Because he wants to be sure that whatever he is thinking, whether the patient is suffering from that disease or not. So in medical, you have a pathology lab, so you can test whatever you are thinking. But in science, many of the people, though you are doing experimental study, they keep on testing their hypothesis through the experiments which they conduct and the data which they have. So whenever you are conducting a research and you want to formulate a hypothesis, then you have to test it. And when you want to test, you have to use a statistical technique. And when you want to use a statistical technique, you must have quantitative data. Now listen carefully. If you have the quantitative data, which can be analyzed with the help of a statistical technique, then you can test the hypothesis, then you must formulate a hypothesis. I repeat this sentence. If you have a quantitative data which can be analyzed with the help of a statistical technique, you can test the hypothesis and you must formulate a hypothesis. But if you have a qualitative data which cannot be analyzed with the help of a statistical technique. You cannot test the hypothesis, and you should not formulate a hypothesis. I repeat, if you have a qualitative data like in philosophical research, in historical research, in descriptive survey research, majority information will be qualitative in nature. And this qualitative data cannot be analyzed with the help of a statistical technique. And then you cannot test a hypothesis, and then you should not formulate a hypothesis. So that means in many of the researches, the formulation of hypothesis will not be the second step. That is what is more important. It will be the second step only in those researches where you have the quantitative information and which you can analyze with the help of a statistical technique. Otherwise, you cannot. No, Priyanka, guessed based on observation, no. Okay, so that means this formulation of hypothesis will not be in all researches. In philosophical, you do not have. In historical, you do not have. In descriptive survey, you do not have. That is why when you do the ethnographical research or you do a phenomenological research, then or you do a grounded theory, you use grounded theory, you cannot have the hypothesis in those type of researches. Absolutely no. In case study, of course, there is no question, because case makes one. Now, in those researches where formulation of hypothesis is not the second step, then the second step will be what now I will tell you. But before that, I tell you, if you are able to convert the qualitative information into quantitative, I repeat, if you are able to convert the qualitative data into the quantitative data, which can be analyzed with the help of a statistical technique, and then you can test the hypothesis, and then you can have a hypothesis. So those researches where you have pure qualitative data, which cannot be converted into quantitative, then you cannot have hypothesis. But those researches where you have the quantitative data, or you have the qualitative data, but which can be converted into quantitative, then you can formulate a hypothesis. Now, in those researches where the second step, formulation of hypothesis, is not there, then the second step there will be data collection. But wherever formulation of hypothesis is the second step, then the third step will be data collection. And when you talk of a data collection, then there are three important points which you must know. See, those people who do the philosophical research, they always have to use the primary source. Those who are doing historical research, they may use either the primary source or even sometimes the secondary source. When you are converting the qualitative into quantitative, it's a quantitative type of research. Because ultimately you are treating the information as quantity and you are proceeding further and you are having hypothesis. So it has to be a quantitative research. So in the philosophical researches, you are collecting the information only from the primary source. But if you are conducting a historical research, then you have to collect the information either from the primary source or from the secondary source. But if you conduct a survey study or an experimental study, you have to collect the data from the field. From the field, you have to collect the data from the field. And when you are collecting the data from the field, then you must know the sampling. And I'm sure you know about the sampling. That you must know in the sampling, the universe. You must know about population. In many of the books, the universe and population are interchangeably used, and that is technically incorrect. Because universe and population are not same. They are very different. Priyanka, do not bother about the sampling. Type of research is not random. You seems to be slightly confused. So therefore, you must know the difference between universe, the population, then sample. Okay? And then you must know about frame. In many of the books, they are not writing frame, but they are writing sampling frame. Both are same, no problem. Then you must know the meaning of sampling. And then you must know the sampling techniques. And you must know about the sample size. These are the different important information which you must know about this sampling. It is, you must know that your title will never tell you which sampling technique to use, except in one particular case. I will tell you that tomorrow, no problem. When I am giving you the how to write a title and how to write objectives and how to formulate hypotheses, I will tell you, nothing to worry about that. So therefore, it is the objectives will tell you most of the time which sampling technique to use. And that is why your objective must be pinpointed. If you don't have pinpointed, then of course you are out. Once you are done away with the sampling, then you must know the tool, or you may say instrument. My dear friend, it is the quality of your tool will determine the quality of your data, which will further determine the quality of your result. So ultimately, the quality of your research depends upon the tool which you are using, along with many other sampling technique also, but tool is also very, very, very important. And therefore, about tools, there are many things I may not be able to tell you right now. I'm not interested because time is not there. The another important is you must be able to know the method of research. You know, there is nothing to tell about the philosophical method, historical method. The answer is yes. But survey method, the answer is no. Experimental method, the answer is yes. Lot of things to be told about the historical. So therefore, there are two things. One, you must know the historical method and experimental. And I don't know whether people teach these methods properly or not. I'm not very sure about it. Then once you have collected the data, the next is the data analysis. And dear friend, when you are analyzing the data, then you must know there are two types of data, the qualitative and the quantitative. So you have to analyze the qualitative data. So qualitative data you can analyze with the help of content analysis, with the help of meta-analysis, with the help of SWOT analysis. And if you have a quantitative data, then you can use a statistical techniques. And there are large number of statistical techniques. Basically, they belong to the two groups. One where you can compare, another where you can study the relationship. There cannot be the third category into which the different statistical technique can be classified. These are simple. Now, once you have done this, then your last step is conclusion. Or if you like, you may call it a finding. Now, these are the different steps which you have to use. And now you know, in case of the philosophical research, the historical research, the descriptive survey, these steps will not be 5. There will be only 4 steps. But if you are conducting a correlational survey or experimental study, then these will be the 5 steps will be there. Because in historical, in philosophical, and in case study, your formulation of hypothesis step will not be there. So these are the different steps. Now tomorrow, I'm going to tell you, dear friends, before I come to the writing of the paper, I will try to tell you the types of the variable, and then I will tell you how to write a title, how to write objectives, etc. And then we will proceed further. So any question before I say bye-bye to you today? Any question you want to ask? Any question, any participant is interested in asking? Otherwise, I will say bye-bye to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for enriching our knowledge on such an important topic, basic research design. Now, I would like to invite Dr. K.N. Gajpal, sir, Head Department of Education, Pragati College, Raipur, for vote of thanks.
7 days faculty development program organized by Indian Teacher Education Committee in collaboration with Pragati College. आज की इस कार्यक्रम के मुख्य अतिथि प्रोफेसर के.एल. वर्मा सर, वाइस चांसलर पंडित रविशंकर शुक्ल विश्वविद्यालय का मैं प्रगति परिवार की ओर से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं। साथ ही इस कार्यक्रम के रिसोर्स पर्सन डॉक्टर DN संसलवाल, HOD एंड डीन, DAVV इंदौर का भी मैं धन्यवाद देता हूं। को कन्वेयर डॉक्टर प्रमोद कुमार गुप्ता, उनका भी धन्यवाद देता हूं। चीफ पैटर्न मिस्टर राजीव बोरा सर का भी मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं। एडवाइजर मैडम डॉक्टर श्रुति झा मैडम का भी मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं। पैटर्न प्रोफेसर सौम्या नैयर मैडम का भी मैं बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देता हूं। साथ ही इस कार्यक्रम के कोऑर्डिनेटर डॉक्टर स्वाति श्रीवास्तव का भी धन्यवाद देता हूं। एजुकेशन डिपार्ट के ऑल फैकल्टी मेंबर को भी धन्यवाद देता हूं। इसके साथ ही प्रगति महाविद्यालय के इस कार्यक्रम में जितने भी लोग जो सहयोग प्रदान किए हैं, उन सभी फैकल्टी मेंबर को भी धन्यवाद देता हूं। साथ ही जितने भी पार्टिसिपेंट हैं, टीचर, रिसोर्स पर्सन, स्टूडेंट, सबका भी मैं अपने प्रगति परिवार की ओर से धन्यवाद देता हूं। थैंक यू।
धन्यवाद सर। एवं साथ ही साथ मैं सभी प्रतिभागियों एवं विद्यार्थियों और प्राचार्य महोदया डॉक्टर KN गजपाल सर, HOD एजुकेशन, सभी का सहृदय धन्यवाद देती हूँ कि आपने अपना बहुमूल्य समय हमें दिया। पुनः एक बार फिर धन्यवाद।